Hello everyone and welcome to session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randy Henderson and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Good evening and welcome to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Anita Walker and I'm your moderator for this evening. We will summarize and discuss Chapter 12 of Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to Present by Harriet A. Washington. First, let us start off by having each one of our reading circle members introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Georgette Moses, and I'm coming to you from the hot South, Columbia, South Carolina.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm in New York. Hi, everybody.
Yes, I'm Joel Jones, coming from Charleston, South Carolina. Hi, everybody.
Hi, this is Edwina. I'm here in Utah.
Hi, my name is Randy and I'm watching from Atlanta and currently work.
And hello, everybody. My name is Michelle Odom. I am located in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm one of the co-hosts of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. And I invite you to learn more about us on Google Plus, where we have a community page, on Facebook, where we have a group page, and on YouTube, where you can find all of the archives from our 3 books and hangouts related to those books. So welcome. We're in session 3, which is going to run through June 16th. We'll probably take a break after that, hopefully not too long, and come back with session 4. So if you'd like to be a part of the hangout, there will be an opportunity to join later on this summer.
My mentor is standing by, and he want to yell at the group, Dr. Thaddeus Bell, and this is how the Closing the Gap in Healthcare for Disparities got started through this particular book. He just want to say hi to everybody, and everybody say hi to him. His name is Dr. Thaddeus John Bell.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
In the age of technology fix, the country is heading for a genetic and behavioral control of society. Who will exercise the control? Who will make the decisions about which genes are defective and which behavior abnormal? Who will make the decisions about genetic worth and prospective human beings? Jonathan Beckwith, 1974. The positive and a negative application of genetic science are seen through the lenses of America's criminal justice system in Chapter 12, Genetic Perdition, the Rise of the Molecular Biases. Harriet A. Washington also makes case for the double-edged nature of genetic science as far as African Americans are concerned, as it has been applied in the workplace and the pharmaceutical industry. Characteristically, the dual motives of racism and profits coverage in a way that possesses special threats for Black Americans or any vulnerable or uh, despised population. Today, our DNA, the carrier of genetic information, enables scientists through DNA fingerprinting to identify distinctive genetic similarities. Though not as reliable as fingerprints, DNA technology is used by our justice system to identify criminal offenders and potential suspects, by the pharmaceutical industry for medical innovations, and for many other current and potential reasons, including determining substantial suitability for certain types of employment. While it holds many promises, from tools that could release or convict to the troubled history of genetic disease fixes that may provide cures or mere stigmatization, genetics offers a corporal of medical and pitfalls for blacks, wrote Washington.
Sickle cell misstep. By the 1960s, the federal government supported initiatives that encouraged widespread genetic screening for sickle cell disease, supposedly to protect vulnerable people by avoiding their placement in work environments that could trigger illnesses such as sickle cell crises. African Americans themselves pushed for many of these initiatives to test and counsel people at risk for sickle cell disease. Although the projects were sometimes well-intended, sickle cell screening created huge problems. Renelia Randall, professor of law at Dayton University, recalled, airlines, for example, said pilots with the trait couldn't fly. Subsequently, the U.S. Air Force Academy rushed to judgment, barring the admission of black sickle cell carriers, otherwise healthy people. By banning black carriers from admission, the Academy was effecting a large-scale restoration of its long-standing race-based ban on blacks entering the Academy. But now it could offer the rationale of protecting them. Once again, scientists and pharmaceutical companies rode to the rescue. There was profit to be made off the backs of the profitable black wonders again. Ortho Pharmaceutical Company of McNeil Laboratories vigorously marketed and sold the so-called sickle cell screening test, Sickle-Dex, knowing full well that the test did not differentiate between the sickle cell trait and the sickle cell disease. Question 9. Do you think, at this point in our reading of Medical Apartheid, that white people would even allow black people to live if they couldn't find ways to profit from our vulnerabilities? Question 10. Are we only alive because of the grace of the white man? If not, then what must be done to prevent the persistent hoodwinking in which they engage and by which we are ensnared? Now, you know those are my questions.
You come up with some praise.
All right, let me go ahead and read F so we can get moved through this. Publications and policies of the National Institutes of Health solidified sickle cell anemia in the American psyche as a black disease. as government policies still confuse the disease with being a carrier. Screenings were done en masse at a variety of sites in an assembly line fashion with agenda-driven, inaccurate counseling. When screening revealed that a person carried the trait for sickle cell disease, they were informed they were sick and in some cases given a brochure without further support or answers. Advised not to marry a person who also carried the trait and sent on their way. Often the main informational point of the screening was to identify affected people so that they would know not to have children. This advice led many African Americans to accuse genetic counselors and counseling programs of genocide. What do you believe?
Okay. Michelle, do you have any thoughts? Or how many do you have?
Well, again, you know, I find it astounding that on the basis of such poor science, you would be telling people they have 20 years to live.
Yeah.
You know, I can't, you know, imagine being Randy's age and getting that kind of misinformation, you know, and then told not to have children. You know, I think it's incredible. So while I don't know if I believe it really was intentionally a genocidal agenda, I think that it had that kind of potential and impact, given the vastness of the testing and screening that went on for this disease. You know, I'm sure we can't count how many babies were not born based on these practices. So I don't know. I mean, I just, you know, I want Dr. Bell to come back and help us with this. I was so glad he showed up tonight, Joel, because I certainly don't have all the answers. But, you know, but I do think that one of the answers is about building our own capacity to ask questions. And, you know, that's really why I am moving through these books the way I am, and, you know, and having all of you develop questions, because that's a major way in which we are able to protect ourselves. And, you know, again, people in that era, you remember the 70s, Vanita and Joelle, you know, people were having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm
excited. Oh.
And you know, and not necessarily questioning all of the information that was coming at us. I mean, just picture the Black Power conference, the Black Panthers, dispensing this advice. You know, surely they weren't doing it from a genocidal perspective, but they weren't asking enough critical questions and demanding evidence before they proceeded. So that's my comment.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on those questions?
I just remember, I'm sorry, I just remember as a kid, there was this hysteria about sickle cell and who could marry, who could not marry. And it was just like it was the same thing when people started getting AIDS. And all of a sudden, AIDS came from Africa, and it had to do with us.
Yes.
So it's that same hysteria. And then when Ebola, it's just, oh, it's in Africa, it has to do with us. You know, so it's just amazing how we just keep, you know, what do they say about history repeating itself?
Yes.
I was just going to say that when I read this passage, it reminded me of when I first joined the Air Force. And, you know, you have the physical, and you're in that mindset just as you said about you just do what you're told and you're accepting information because you're in that mode.
Right.
And when the lady, she took my blood and then whatever it came back, she said, oh, you have the sickle cell trait, and she gave me that look. And I said, well, what does this mean? And she said, oh, you just can't marry another person who has the sickle cell trait. And that was like no information for me. And since you're already in a fast-paced environment, you're just moving along, you can't talk too much, don't ask too many questions. I took that information and went on with it, with my life and my career, and never revisited, what that might mean down the road medically for myself or any children I might have, until I really started looking, at this information. And then I want to go back to what Randy said about the genetic material taken during the so-called Protect Your Child from Kidnapping episode. When I lived on Air Force Base, the police came through the schools, the grade schools, and they said, oh, we're having this new program where, we want to take your child's hair and their fingerprints and a picture, and this will help you in case they're kidnapped. Now, mind you, we did not have a rash of kidnapping back in
Air Force Base.
Right. Yes, on an Air Force Base.
One of the most protected societies you ever have.
So I'm thinking now that, okay, they took advantage of the parent caring for the child, and I want to do everything I can to protect them from possibly being snatched. Like there's a big market for little black children, but maybe somewhere it is, But, and I'm thinking that, okay, this was maybe a disguised, on the surface, innocent way of, getting some genetic material, or seeing if these parents do it, we can move it out to a bigger population and see if they do it too. So it just, makes me kind of wonder. And my third question, and I'm going to end it, is what in the heck is the IRS doing with my genetic material, and how did they get it? What's it for? Okay? What's the heck to do with my taxes?
Well, first of all, we need to figure out why did our government give as much power as they have given to the IRS, period, when it's not even a government entity.
True.
Okay? It's a Gestapo.
Yeah, they got guns and ammo, don't they?
You understand? They're not even a part of our governmental administration. But yet, for some ungodly reason, they have the power, like, I don't know. You can come in here and take folks' DNA. You can come in here and say, I owe you money, and snap some handcuffs on me. You can foreclose on my house, take my dog.
B613.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So, this is what I mean by, you just don't even know which way you're going anymore, because there are people that have powers and entities that, where did they get this power from? Who appointed them? I didn't vote for it. Did you vote for it?
Nope.
No, but you're in their database. Your DNA is in that database for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's for some monetary benefits to me. I'm just kidding.
No,
you can scratch that.
I figure I've been looking at my unicorns. Anyways, does anyone else have any comments?
I want to hear somebody. I want to hear somebody respond to 9 or 10. Questions 9 or 10.
I think both these questions are really funny, but are we only alive because of the grace of the white man?
Well, now.
I don't. That is so funny. I would hope not, because then that would be really depressing. I think that white people have really tried to kill us off. I really do believe that through this, after reading in this book, and so I do believe that they're trying to really kill us. I really do, but I don't think we're only alive because of their grace, because I don't really see a lot of grace in this book. But I digress. What must be done to prevent the persistent hoodwinking? The only thing I can think of really is what we're doing, which is reading and education, but it's so difficult to get people to read, especially Black people who like to sit at the white table. It's really difficult to get them to read books like this. A lot of people don't know how to read for comprehension. We don't have the best literacy in our communities, which makes it very difficult to not only read this information, but to take it in and to really understand what she's saying, which is, that this country has a history of legally killing us outside of slavery. And I think a lot of people like to stop at slavery and Jim Crow, but don't really like to look at the medicinal part of it, which I never knew to really look at either until we started reading this book. And so I think it's going to take, we talk about this all the time, like the community, like we're sick, we have issues because of all the stuff we've been through. We've never gotten therapy. Black people have that. Don't ask, don't tell, don't talk about it if it happened in your house. What stays in the house happens in the house stays in the house. So I think that we've been conditioned within our communities and throughout the government to be quiet, and being quiet and being educated contradicts the other, I think. And until we stop insisting that, we stop being silent about what we're going through and what we see, I think that we're going to continue to be hoodwinked. And I don't even think at this point it's really hoodwinking. I think that at this point we're all pretty conscious of what the government is doing, and white supremacy, what white supremacy does or has been doing this forever. But how do we stop it? I don't really know how. Once you know, what do you do with that information? Do I make President Obama read this book, or has he read this? But what can he really do, knowing that this is probably still happening, especially in these prisons, and with these in these juvenile courts, like the woman in the beginning of the book, or the beginning of the chapter, with her sons. So I don't know, y'all.
Thank you. You know how at the end of the last 2 or 3 chapters, there's always a point that says, and Bill Clinton apologized on behalf of the American people. But when you look at all of these atrocities that were happening in the 1990s while he was in office,
I think, back to that I'm sorry stuff. I'm getting so tired of the majority, saying, well, I'm sorry. Well, they killed him. The officer said he was sorry. What else do you want him to do? I think that this sorry thing is, they use it for a cure-all. Okay, you're sorry, but who's going to be held accountable? What you going to do about it? You know what I mean? And how are you going to correct it? Saying sorry, what are you going to do about it? If you say you're wrong, well, why don't you change your initiative, Bill Clinton, from whatever organization he have, to say, I'm going to dismantle, I'm going to put all my energy to dismantle this wrong thing that I did, my presidency, from having this profitable system. Well, won't you change the organization to do that if you're sorry? I think I'm getting tired of people to say, I'm sorry. Oh, well, I'm sorry. What the fuck? I mean, what the hell?
I've been tired of it. But I did want to say to Randy's point about reading, I can say it because she's not here, but I had to help Vanita get the agenda done at the last minute.
I heard that. You were talking about me. Was she not?
Oh no. But because she has just been so tired of reading this book,
and she
like
did.
We all are, that when it came down to the wire, she just couldn't finish the agenda. But one of the things, and she and I talk a lot about, well, who really is the audience that Harriet Washington was targeting? Because it does not seem that it was the average, everyday Black American, people who actually need this information to start adjusting the way we think and move through the world. So, you know, who was her audience? But what I always say to Vanita is, yeah, but the thing is, she was talking to whoever it is she was talking to. But then other people have to come along with their particular skills and abilities and translate what she is saying for a different audience. And so you're right, Randy, you know, we're not known for being big readers, and it's not just Black Americans. You know, America itself is determined
They don't read.
to dumb itself down to the lowest possible level, because of course that's an opportunity for the powers that be, you know. So, but those of us who have that ability, you know, just like Dr. Bell said, he took the information that he had, and from his vantage point, he put a program into place. And so, you know, I can tell you there must be many people that have picked up this book, flipped it open,
Yeah,
and put it right back down.
I believe that.
You know, if they read the back cover,
That's right.
they thought they were doing something. So, you know,
It was my son who recommended this book to me years ago, the one that's in the Army now. And I didn't think much of it. He said, well, Mom, you got to read this book. This, you know, and he's a college-educated person. So I guess she is really speaking to those on this scholastic level, put it that way. It hasn't been broken down yet for the general public, but I wish it could be.
And what I'm saying is, we are some of the people who are now empowered to break it down because we've done the work.
That's right.
Can I answer question number 9? I think it was.
Sure, Kim.
And I don't think we're hoodwinked. I think we're bamboozled. I went to public school, and I had my little hand on saying the Pledge of Allegiance and all of that. And I think that's just being bamboozled to believe in, you know, the Constitution and all of this American stuff. But what comes to mind in terms of profit is the Henrietta Lacks story about the stem cells, them stealing her stem cells.
Yeah.
And making so much profit and curing so many people without this woman or her family's permission. And so it just feels like maybe we go back to looking at the DNA to find strains that might help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden you find that if you happen to be the lucky ones that have something in your DNA that helps cure diseases, you might find yourself being a breeder again.
It's true.
It's just like, well, we're going to have to find some way to incarcerate these women because we need to get them to breed. So I know that sounds far-fetched, but it just seems like
Not to
what
me.
else they're looking for.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, one of the things that Harriet Washington points out, I don't know if you got to the part on the Human Genome Project, that's coming up in a later discussion, but, you know, they tried to exclude African people from they did exclude African people from the first phase of the project.
Yes.
And until a Black doctor stood up and said, well, wait, you know, human beings originated in Africa. Those are the oldest and most diverse genes on the planet. If you're going to map the gene pool, you're going to need to have some Black folks in there.
That's what I'm saying.
You know? So it's highly possible and probable that there are things in our genetic makeup that can benefit other people.
Sure. Wow.